Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 3 of Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain, written by Teenie Howard. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this issue begins with Betsy looking after her niece at the Braddock residence, while her brother Brian and his wife get ready for a night out at a musical. Now, Brian proposes that Betsy bring Rachel along in order to socialize with the people of Britain, but of course, Betsy declines the offer, citing that they are preoccupied with locating Morgan, for ever since the battle on Earth 76, Morgan just disappeared. So with time on her hands, she takes her niece, as her brother and his wife went out on their date. As Betsy headed towards the basement, she was taken aback to find Rachel chronoskimming with a focused expression, for it seemed like Rachel had been lost in thought for hours, exploring the multiverse, looking for Morgan. So with a swift mental connection, Betsy was able to bring Rachel out of her scanning. And after Rachel's recovery, Betsy visited the Mothermind to inquire about any progress in their search. But unfortunately, all leads proved unfruitful, prompting Betsy to contact her core members, who had no luck spotting their target. Now overwhelmed with stress, Rachel comforted Betsy with a passionate kiss to ease her mind. But unfortunately, that moment was cut short, as a call appeared on the screen before them, for Brian and his wife were engaged in a fierce battle with a Fury, and by the looks of it, they were clearly outclassed. So in a race against the clock, Betsy quickly instructed Rachel to stay with her niece while she rushed off to assist her brother in the fight. Moving on, we find ourselves on the battlefield where Fury, painted in the iconic colors of Captain Britain, appears to be on a mission to track down Betsy Braddock. This page also provides some background information about the Furies. The narrator explains that Jim Jasper originally created the Furies to locate individuals with superpowers. When they ventured into Otherworld, they discovered that there were more scattered across the multiverse. Eventually, the Furies united and established their own nation called the Forge, where 3 laws were put in place. These laws were to hunt down those with superpowers, protect the Forge, and never cease their pursuit. So with that said, returning to the story, Brian and Megan were both working hard to fend off the powerful Fury, but as the pressure increased, Megan made a decision to put an end to the Fury's hunt for both her family and her husband. With a determined expression on his face, Brian crouched down and waited for the Fury to come within range, so with lightning-fast reflexes, he struck his target and the battle began. As Brian approached the Fury, he made it clear that no amount of paint could turn it into a real Captain Britain. However, with many civilians in the vicinity, Brian informed Megan that he would attempt to lure the Fury out of the city, which Megan was not happy about, for she wanted to stay by Brian's side in battle. In a sudden turn of events, the Fury caught Brian by surprise and dealt a fatal blow, seemingly killing Captain Avalon. So with her love dead, Megan was left heartbroken as she cried for her beloved. However, to her astonishment, Brian emerged from the rubble unharmed, for Betsy had used her psychic powers to deceive the Fury into thinking it had succeeded in its mission. So, after the battle was over, the 3 of them strolled through the rubble discussing the recent events. And after a brief conversation, Megan hurried off to see her daughter while Brian stayed behind to speak with his sister. He wanted her to know that he would be there for her if she ever needed assistance. However, Betsy was too consumed with her work and replied that she was fine, and if she needed help, it would be from someone more knowledgeable on the subject. So as the night began to fall, Rachel emerged from a Krakoan gate and headed to the tea shop in London, and upon arrival, she witnessed Fiza healing those injured in the battle. So once Fiza was done, Rachel inquired about Betsy's whereabouts, and Fiza informed her that she was meditating alone in a booth trying to recover from the strenuous hours of carrying wounded people. So with that information in hand, Rachel found Betsy exhausted and asked her how she was feeling. Despite being a psychic, Rachel respected Betsy's privacy and did not intrude on her thoughts. So with that said, Betsy expressed her doubts about leaving Saturnine's side, as she possessed the power to monitor the multiverse more efficiently than they could. So with that news, Rachel became envious and stated that she believed that Saturnine was untrustworthy and had a history of using her Captain Britons for personal gain, much like how she used Brian in the past. Now with this conversation going nowhere, Betsy got up and walked away from the table, leaving Rachel behind, as she met up with the members of Strike to see what help they can provide with the Coven and Morgan. So while all that is going on, the scene shifts to the Coven, where Fury had the ambassador pinned by the neck, for the Fury considered the ambassador useless and wanted to use him as a scapegoat for their past crimes. So with that said, Morgan interrupted him and expressed regret that the ambassador wasn't a mutant, because if he was witch breed, she could have added him to her collection. So as the Fury held the man in the air, Morgan asked about the mission to kill Brian, which the Fury confirmed that it was completed, but Morgan pointed out that the Fury was no smarter than the previous captain, for she revealed a mirror reflecting a clear image of Brian playing with his daughter, proving that the mission failed. Now, upon seeing Brian alive and well, the Fury reverted to his 3 fundamental laws as he charged toward the mirror with the intention of correcting his mistakes. However, Morgan used her magic to halt his progress with a simple flick of her wrist as she observed the situation, and said Betsy has something none of the Furies in Everforge has, and that is the Starlight Sword, for when Saturnine made it she empowered it with the Starlight Citadel. And the reason why she did it was because she was trying to save her own hide while retreating from a losing war, but what she didn't expect was she'd lose the Braddock's loyalty. So with that said, she decided to empower the Fury with her magic in order to match Betsy's Starlight Sword, for she states that would be all they would need to win. So with this plan in mind, Morgan shifted her focus to the ambassador, who was still making idle threats about his people coming to find him if he was harmed. Despite his warnings, Morgan remained unfazed and shared a vision of her intentions with him, leaving him petrified. So with the comic coming to an end, we see Betsy getting all dressed up as Rachel enters the room to apologize, but before she could, Betsy interrupted her and stated that they don't need Saturnine's help because Rachel is better than her in every way, as she gave her a kiss. So with the air clear between the two women, Rachel then goes on to ask about the dress, which Betsy fills her in psychically about its purpose. So with the plan shared, Rachel walks Betsy to the gate as she traveled to her information gathering mission. For on the last page, we see 2 important events playing out. A. Betsy is meeting with Tony Stark to ask for the Avengers' help, and B. Morgan is meeting with Dr. Doom to retrieve something that belongs to her. So with that said, issue number 3 of Betsy Braddock's Captain Britain comes to an end. So down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.